Good morning and welcome. And if you heard the dog barking, that's a welcome from Boots as well. My name is Sam, and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me this morning. I have to say, first of all, a huge apology for not being online last week. Um, my husband and I made a decision that we were going to go for a faster broadband. They promised us it would be up and running over in the night. It went off midnight on Monday and only returned on Sunday. Some technical hitch on their end. So I do apologise that I was not around. I have to say, with two teenagers in the house, or two young adults rather, not teenagers, who both rely on the internet for their college and university work, it was a very, very frustrating week. Morning, Jenny. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're well. So anyway, enough of my ramblings. Let's get on with today's Technique Tuesday. Morning, Jeanette. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for joining me this morning. I hope you're well. So this morning we're going to do a watercolour. So these are my three cards I have already created. So let me show you these. What I've done is I created a water wash, worked its way down the page on here, and then I have stamped on with the Stays On ink, something I haven't used online before, so hopefully we can look at that when it comes to it. So then I've also made this gentleman's birthday card, and I've used a yellow wash for this one. And the one we're going to actually be focusing on today is this particular card here. And we're going to be using the stamp set that's called Sailing Home. Okay, and it's, as you can see, a blue wash. So let me get the supplies in and we can help. I can show you what to do. So the first thing is, this is my punch, which is the postage punch. I have the stamp set Sailing Home. Okay, I'm just going to try and tip that so you can see it. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 really good images, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentiments. So 12 images all in all. So quite a good card or stamp set for making a mail card. So the supplies I have got this morning are as follows. So I have the Misty Moonlight, which is cut at 8 and 5 3/4, and of course scored at the 4-inch line. I then have my first layering mat, which is 3 3/4 by 5.5, and that will layer on top there. And I actually have a piece of watercolour paper, which we actually sell in the catalogue. If you are wanting to have a go, I can help you with that. And this measures 3 1/4 by 5, and will sit on there like so once we have completed the picture. Okay, so let's put everything else aside and focus on my piece of cardstock. Okay, so the first thing I've got are 3 blues. So we've got Pacific Point, Misty Moonlight, and Night of Navy. And I'm going to open each one of those. 1, 2, and we'll mix 3. There we go. And I've got 3 blank blocks, and each one is going to have colour on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap the ink block and transfer as much ink onto my block as possible. Turn that over. That one got it there. And what I like to do is working from left to right, lightest to darkest. There is a reason behind that madness, and I will explain to you in a second when I do that. Okay, and then the last one, the Night of Navy. There we go. Right. Okay, so we have our 3 inks, and I have an aqua painter. Now the body here is full of water, and it has a brush at the end here. So it creates that lovely water effect. So the first thing I want to do is, taking my brush, I'm going to drop some, just squeeze it gently and bring the water into the barrel and down the brush. There we've got a tiny blob of water on there, and I'm just very gently going to wash across here. I don't want too much water on this page, but I want it enough that it's going to absorb the ink. Okay, so now that we've prepared the paper, you'll see it all bend. Once we dry it, it will become flat, so do not worry. Okay, so each of my inks need a couple of drops of water. One there, one there. So, first thing to do is going to mix this round so it gets this watery look, and then I'm going to wash it across the page. Because it's the light, I'm going to use the top. I'm just going to brush it down the page, far out. As you can see, it fades off slightly down here. Now, without doing anything different, I'm going to mix in my next colour. Okay, and then I'm going to wash it into the blue. So that way we get the different colours coming through. And this is why I wanted it to go from light to dark, so that we get the blend coming down. Okay, and then again onto the Night of Navy. And then we'll down. It is, for this particular technique, as simple as that. Okay, so if you feel you've not got enough colour that you particularly want, so I'm thinking maybe I could do with a bit more blue coming down. What I'm actually going to do is I've got my chamois here. I'm going to wipe my brush onto the chamois. Check its colour hasn't transferred from the dark one, which it hasn't. I'm going to go into the blue, and then I'm just going to bring it a bit further down. Okay, and mingle it in so it gives it this colour. See, and then we're washing in the colour like so. It's to give you that sea effect. So I'm going to wash my brush off again and replace the lid. Put that aside for a second, and so that there are no exact accidents, I'm going to just wipe off my chamois, the inks off my blocks with my chamois. One, two, and the last one. And the wonderful thing about these chamois are I can then go up to the sink later and wash the ink away. Okay, so let's put those aside for a second. And now, obviously, our paper is still wet, so I have got my heat gun. Just might need to turn your volume down for a second while I turn it up, and just wave it over here until it's dry. Now, as it heats up, it will flatten the paper. It takes a couple of seconds to dry. There we go. As you can see, it's flattening now. It's not so bulbous, and our colours are all blended in. There we go, and our page is now dry. I'm just going to take on the other side. And one more on there. So drying it is as quick as that. Okay, so while that just cools itself down, I'm going to adhere the two layers, so the cardstock and the matte. I'm just going to burnish this, like so. Using my glue, my multi-purpose, I'm going to adhere the page to my matte to my card. And this is the Balmy Blue cardstock I'm using. There we go. Okay, and then when we're ready, that will go onto there. So the next thing we need to do is to bring on this ink called StazOn. Now it's a jet black ink, and it will work with this kind of paper, and it will give you a really good crisp colour. However, just a warning is it does actually stain, as you can see, the stamps. Don't worry, once you've wiped it off and it's dried, it doesn't actually transfer. So it just gives it a little stain, so it hasn't actually damaged the damp in any way. Okay, so it has a protective cover, which I shall. I'm then going to dab it onto my lighthouse. Most wonderful smell of marzipan, so no sniffing because you will get addicted to it, I am sure. And then I'm just going to add my lighthouse to here. Hold that there for a second or two, and then the light. As you can see, it's quite dramatic with the colours behind it. So I'm going to bring in my other piece of chamois, and I'm just going to wipe it over very quickly to get off the worst. Oh, look at the table shaking the front end. I do apologise. Okay, so the next thing to do is to then add your other boats. So I've got a small boat. So again, using my StazOn, I'm just going to dab it onto my boat and work out where the boat's going to go. So I'm going to have it coming here. There you go. And then our last boat, which is the bigger version, again, and then it will just down here to the bottom right. There. So that is as simple as that, really, with the 3 colours of ink for the wash and adding the black StazOn to give you that beautiful effect of the boats floating in the sea and avoiding the lighthouse. Okay, so the next thing to do is to add some, well, normally ribbon, but because it's a man's card, I've got some string. So what we do is put that underneath there, like so. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to wrap it round 3 times. Once, twice, 3 times, and then I'm going to cut it off. And we can pop a knot. Put that under there. There, and hopefully okay, and then we're going to knot by our boat. Bring it down slightly. And not, if you want to, you can leave it as a solid 3 lines, or you can just wriggle it out slightly so you've got this. So there we go. 3 there, and then you can do the 3. Okay, so that's that. And now we need to add the sentiment. And the sentiment I'm going to use this morning is Happy Birthday. Good morning, Jenny. Thank you for joining me this morning. I hope you're well. Right, so I'm going to use the Happy Birthday sentiment, and I've got a piece of white cardstock. And as I said, I'm going to use my postage stamp punch. So I'm going to punch that out first, and there is a reason behind my madness, I assure you. So taking the Knight of Navy, you see this is going to be too big to put on the card. So I'm going to show you a way that we can rectify that. I've got the Happy Birthday, and I'm actually going to move it quite far up to the top, like so, and let it drop. Okay. Then I'm going to bring in a post-it note. I'm going to attach it to my already punched out piece, and then I'm going to add this back in to here, and I'm going to line it up where I would like it to cut off. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be a good about there. Now, as you can see, or I don't know if you can see, but I've actually managed to get these nobules, I'm sure there is a technical word for it, into where they were. Okay, so they line up, and then I'm just going to press down, and then the Happy Birthday comes out like so. So I've actually used it in, but not in its full size. So now what I can do is work out where I'm going to put it. I think I'm going to add it to just there, and that will bring in the dimensionals. Joyous task of opening a brand new pack. I do like opening a brand new pack. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one up the top here and one down the bottom here. And I'm hoping that they will straggle, yeah they will, the ribbon, like so. So there we have the happy birthday stuck down. And now what I'm going to do is, again, add some dimensionals to the back. So I'm going to put one in the middle to hold those in place. There we go. All the way down. And I probably, because it is watercolour paper, I am just adding a few more than I would normally. Morning, Susan. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining me. Long time no catch up. So there we go. I'll just bring that in. And I'm going to add those now to my inside layer. So pop it into place. And then I'm going to just trim the edges of this ribbon because they're far too long. And the only thing I want to do now is I'm going to add 3 gems, but because it's a man's card, I don't want them to be bright and glittery. I want them to be, quite maybe muted colours, and I'm not going to spray them across. I'm just going to put 3 little gems here. Now, the choice is whether or not to use my black or to use my blue. I think I'm actually going to use the blues. Oops, hello. Yeah. So bringing in my pointy tool, I'm just going to pick up the 3 Misty Moonlight gems. Okay. 1, 2, and the last one is. Okay, so that is our happy birthday card for this morning. This is the original one that we created. And then, as I said previously, I have got the one with the whiskey jar and then the female version with the Eiffel Tower. Okay, so thank you ever so much, ladies, for joining me this morning. I hope you liked the new technique. If you need any help with the technique, just give me a direct message and I am very willing to help in any way I can. So lots of love and thanks for joining me. Take care and hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Bye.